Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Just waiting for some people to pop in. Um, I'm Bree. I go by Sensista Siete and Cruzalada as Sensista Seven Crossroads, which is spiritualism with the dead and voodoo.
I'm Maurizio. I go by my son's name as Babo Jew. I'm going to be about 2 years crowned on September 28th. Um, so I'm a Santero in the Lukumi tradition, uh, trying to be trained to be more of a spiritista as well and do other spiritual things as well.
So I had a video request on my YouTube channel to talk more about Eshu and Ellehua, and these spirits belong to um, the Yoruban culture, I guess Ifa, Nigeria, um, / West Africa, and went to Cuba and became Ocha, which what people call Santeria, Lukumi, basically. So these spirits are not found in voodoo in the New World. They're not found in the Caribbean in voodoo. They're separate religion. So I did a video talking about Legba, and then I said that these spirits are not the same. Obviously, many people insist or don't know that they're not the same, but I talked about Legba. So you might want to check out that video. And then me and Maurizio did a video about beginning ceremonies, getting your lekes, your necklaces in these traditions, and that also includes getting your warriors and getting either your Eshu or your Ellehua. So you might also want to watch that video too, because it probably has some information for you about Eshu and Ellehua.
Any
Hey guys,
stories,
actually I can see the
Nicholas?
comments. That's why Maurizio's looking down on his phone, but sometimes we
Yeah,
can't
it's
see the
not really
comments, so that's
working
why.
to see,
But we
but
can see on here. So,
luckily.
uh, hey Nicholas, Manny, Brian, what's up? If you have any questions or anything to add, because I know some of you guys are also Santeros or Avarishas as well. Um, so basically, in Africa, there's also Voodoo, and these spirits are really regional. So they would have a few Orishas associated with the very land and ancestral connections. They didn't have every Orisha. It's in the New World where we have more in one, I guess you could say like one tradition, and it just varies by region. So in Voodoo, they could have different Orishas, different, I don't even think they call them like Loasas, but more like Foduses or Voodoo together. But that doesn't mean that they're all the same or we can mix everything together. There's traditions, lineages, specific choices, specific sacrifices, and rationale between mixing things and a consensus over in a community. It's not just one person being like, oh yeah, because I think this or I think that. So yeah, I talked about Legba. So he is a Loa. He belongs to Voodoo. You can say that different spirits are syncretized, but that doesn't make them the same being. Like you can say we're all one, but I'm not Maurizio. Maurizio is not me. We have different opinions on things. We have different likes. We have different dislikes. Even if we were very similar spirits, there are differences, and there are differences in how you approach these spirits, how you venerate, how you receive them. Um, who can give them? You have to have them to give them. um, there's a voodoo I'd say is more spiritual in that you can approach legba. Guidance is recommended. Same maybe with Ellehua, but a lot of rules, and the tradition is a lot more um, I'd say preserved through Orisha tradition. It's a much more formal religion than voodoo. Not that voodoo doesn't have format, etc. So that's why it's a lot different to be approaching Eshu and Ellehua than Legba. Now, I'm not a priest in Ocha. Lukumi, I have received my warriors and I have received an Eshu. So I'm mostly going to leave it to Maurizio to talk about, but I'll just talk about a few things that I know. And some of those things are things that I've also learned from him. It's just that's what I have to talk about. And then he can talk about more things.
Yeah, I was just going to mention when
A
Nicholas posted
relationship,
about
yeah.
the relationship thing. You can't just go to them and just be like,
I
Huzzah!
want this, I want
I
that.
want
No, it
this
doesn't
and
work
that.
like that. And then because also in the religion of Lukumi, Ocha, Santeria, Ifa, where the Orisha come from, it's a whole system of like divination using their specific oracles, which are specifically given in ritual, fed, etc. Belonging to those Orisha, speak for the mouth of that Orisha. It's not just, oh, I think that they're telling me this. I mean, that can happen, but it's only verifiable by that. And then the divination system will say, Alego wants this or Alego wants that. You can't just be like, here's candy, do this. It doesn't work like that. So Igbo, or they might ask you to change something about your behavior, like we don't want you to drink alcohol for these many days, and then we will do, the Alegua agrees to do this for you, etc. So it's different than what, I guess, ceremonial magic or Wicca or neo-pagan want, how they, or even approaching the dead. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work via spiritualism 100%. There's a systematic way. um Eshu is more, from what I understand, is more of a wild force of nature, existed before the world existed, before anything existed. It's sort of like the void or nothing at once or something like that. And a lot of people keep him outside because he is a little bit wilder. Um, and a Babalao, so Ifa, gives out the Eshus when you get warriors from Ifa. And many people in Santeria do get their warriors through Ifa, and then they might get an Alegua later. Um, but a Santero would give out an Alegua. That's the
Right.
difference. There's many paths of Alegua that are called Eshu this, Eshu that, but they're not the same being. Now, I belong to Orisha Space, which is a fairly good group or forum on Facebook as far as crappy groups and forums go on Facebook. It's a better one. And there's this whole discussion on there the other day that Eshu and Alegua, a lot of people see them as the same, but I don't, because this is my opinion now. So there's other, some people say, like most people will say that's a monotheistic religion, and other people say that happened later. But the fact is that at least now as it stands, it's a monotheistic religion, anyways. Um, so they say there's Olodumare, which you could say that's God, that's Nzambi, that's Great Spirit, that's Papa Bon Dieu, Bandai, Papa Bon Dios, how Dosa, however you want to say God, that would be Oludumare. And then Oludumare, God, never incarnated, but when he incarnated, then he became Olofi. But you can't say Olofi is the same as Oludumare. I mean, you can, but one incarnated, one didn't. So
Almost like the same palo. It's like three distinct persons, but one God.
that's actually, I think, more Catholic, like Father, Son, Holy Spirit,
It's true.
like the
Yeah,
triad,
it
but
kind of is
Trinity,
a syncretism, but it
but it's
does
not the
kind of.
same. You
It's
can't
not.
say
It's not.
Jesus is Yahweh,
It's true. Yeah.
I mean, you can because you're Catholic, that's what they understand, but you can see like Jesus, God's
The
supposed to be,
individual.
well, God is supposed to be all knowing, all powerful. Obviously, Jesus wasn't, or just complied because he let himself be killed, and said, "Why have you forsaken me?" when he was on the cross, etc. Even like Adam and Eve disappeared. He's like, "Where are you?" I don't know if that was like rhetorical, like, "Why are you hiding from me?" or what. But anyways, just because one is like an avatar of another, um, there's still going to be differences
Interesting.
in how you approach them. Maybe I'm just mincing words, but um, maybe they are the same. But just my opinion, they're not the same. How you receive them, so it's a black stone as far as I've seen for Eshu. I don't know about Alegba, if you can have Alegua or Alegba. If I don't know if you can have black stones only for them. Maybe you can
I've
talk
only
about that.
seen
But
blacks. Well, that's not necessarily 100% true because I believe that when I had my first like Guao, which is the path of Eshu Leroy, it was more like a
white stone.
white stone.
But anyways, you get a stone, a specific location. The priest does this, and then they check with their oracles to see if that is an Eshu or an Alegua that walks with a specific person. So mine is not going to be the same that walks with somebody else. So there are very many paths. In Africa, I think there's only one Eshu. Somebody else was saying that there's two different Eshus in Africa. But the point is that there's different paths, in the new world of Ellehua. And everybody has a different one that walks with you. So you get the stone. The stone for my Eshu was put in the cement head on the top. So that stone on his forehead is actually the spirit and not the cement head itself. Is just a container basically for the things that go in there. Um, and that's all marked by divination and interpreted by a couple different Babala or Santero. Jesus is Horus. Yeah, but Horus is not Osiris exactly. Sweet. Yeah. Yeah, so you can't say Jesus is the same thing as Quetzalcoatl. I mean, you can do comparative religion, but
Yeah.
they're different, you know? Um, yeah, so basically, the way that you take care of your warriors, if you do it every Monday, is a lot different than approaching Legba. There are different markings that some of the priests do use for Orisha, but it's not like Veve, it's not the same thing. Um, I'm not a priest, so I don't have a maraca for Eshu or anything like that. But I am a priest in voodoo, priestess in voodoo, so I have my cha-cha for when I'm working with my loas. Um, and there's different ways to communicate with them that are like their divination tools in the Orisha traditions that we don't use that for Legba. It's very different how you take care of them and you approach them. Um, uh, Eshu for so far with me has been kind of sweet, kind of understanding, a little demanding, but understanding. Um, Alegua, I think I see him more as a child. He might not be a child, but he has more like childlike energy to me. I think he's more playful. There's a darker edge possibly, but very different than Legba. Like Legba's, I see him like as older, wiser, calmer energy than I do the Eshus and the Legwas. Just my experience with them. Um, uh, a lot of people say you have to go through Legba to get to other Loa, and that's not entirely true. There's other ways. Different families have different chiefs, and there's other ways that serve that purpose. It's just a real generalization. Whereas I think in the Orisha traditions, um, I think Alegua serves that purpose. But if you receive the shells of the other Orisha, I think you can go directly to them, can't you?
I'd say
Or
you
no?
can, but I think it's still a messenger, a like Gua, still speaking directly for those Orisha, even though it's those Orisha's shells. But I've kind of heard different too, that it's like you're speaking directly to the Orisha. But even though you're talking directly to those Orisha, there's still other Orisha that speak in the Odu when they come up that are of those Orisha's shells, you know.
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of stories that will give you like the life advice that you need when you're seeking help in the traditions with Eshuna Legua, and we don't have that in voodoo. Basically, it's like a very like a binary geomantic system, basically. Um, yeah. So when you, out of respect, we do too. We give something to Legba if we're doing a service. For most services, we do anyway, and I think that's true with the Legwa too. You have to give something to him in the beginning when you do certain rituals, anyways, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is there any other differences you
I
would
think we
think?
pretty much covered everything I really know about the differences between them. I mean, like we said, Eshu's a wild force. Elegua more tamed.
He's
He can.
younger
Well,
because he got created in the new world. If you want to look at it like that too, or his avatar, that avatar path got created in the new world.
I would say
So
Elegua
he's
could be
younger.
at the same time old and young.
Because spirits appear as children doesn't mean that they have childlike mind or intelligence. They can be very it can be very tricky. I
Yeah.
wouldn't really say like as far as trickster spirits, like I really haven't found them like that trickery. Like Legba likes a good joke. He might play little funny tricks, or it's something that the way something manifests might be like a bit ironic or something like that. But I wouldn't say like that like how the devil plays tricks or whatever. Like I wouldn't really say like they're that sneaky. I guess you could say like I haven't found that true about Legba. I don't know if you think that's true about. Do you think that's true about
That
Legba?
they're really trickery.
Yeah, like trickster spirits. What would you say about
Well, I
that?
mean, they can play some tricks like things will appear, things will disappear.
Legba likes to go with you. Yeah.
It's true. He has like going to places. I used to do it.
We're just trying to
before,
reconnect. 1 second. At least I don't think we're connected.
I was going to try to reconnect.
Can someone just comment if we're like still connected?
Maybe we should move closer over there.
Yeah.
Ready? We should try moving.
I can just edit this part out live.
I'll move the thing. That's weird. That kind of sucks. Sounds like just fine.
Maybe we'll end live and then jump back on, or
we could jump back on.